Hello, welcome to He's Hop, but something is off with me, just Joey T. It's been warm in Los Angeles. Actually, it's been very warm in a lot of the U.S., mainly on the eastern side of the country. Just had a massive heat wave that was last week, I think, simmering into this past weekend. But yeah, in Los Angeles, it's finally starting to feel like summer, getting temperatures up in the high 80s, hitting 90. I've just turned on the AC for the first time this year. When I was growing up, we're in Canada when we grew up, and it never got very warm, but it did get kind of cold. We're in Vancouver, so it's like Pacific Northwest weather. It doesn't get super cold and it doesn't get super warm. It's very temperate. But I usually run cold, when it's like a nice, good temperature. Other people, I'm probably like a little bit chilly. And when other people are a little bit warm, it's probably perfect for me. Assuming we're not in the sun or exercising. Like if we're just like indoors, not, doing exercise or Pilates or something. By the way, oh my God, my neighbors upstairs a few days ago, they were exercising, like doing jumping jacks or some shit in their living room. Anyways, okay, I don't want to detour into that because we don't have time. But when I was growing up, I always remember mom would not turn the heat up very high in the house. And because I ran cold, I would always feel cold in not just the winter, because it's not very warm in Canada, for like half the year, from October until like March. I would just like be cold all the time when I was inside. Mom would refuse to turn up the thermostat for saving energy and the utility bills and all that kind of stuff. Now that I'm a full-grown adult and I pay all my own expenses, including my utilities, and electricity costs have skyrocketed literally in the last, couple years, because I try so hard to save electricity nowadays. Like the minimum amount of stuff is on or even plugged in. Like this whole studio setup I have, which is not even that much. I've got the lights in the room, like the ceiling recessed lights. I've got a ring light in front of me right now. The camera, I've got this little podcasting soundboard recorder and this microphone. Like that's it. This whole setup is like unplugged from the wall completely. Like everything you see that's on this table, the light and the camera and the soundboard, everything. But I'm not using this space, usually people just leave stuff plugged in, but they turn it off. It's like I'm unplugging things that I don't use on an extended basis just to save that little extra bit of electricity because the electricity bills are so high now. I was digging through it. It's like, am I really using that much more electricity now compared to like 1 or 2 years ago? And I'm just looking at my bill. The cost per watt hour, like the rate of the charge, it's like doubled. So it's not that I'm using more energy. I'm using less energy than a year before because my energy's built, like it's gone up like, now that I'm careful compared to like this time last year, the same conditions, it's gone up maybe like 20 to 30 bucks. It's gone up maybe like 15, 20%, okay? Like what I pay out of pocket, but I'm actually using less electricity than last year. Because I can see on the bill, it gives you like a year-over-year comparison. Like it's just ridiculous. The inflation on the energy cost, like the rate of the cost per kilowatt hour or whatever it is, it's like nearly double compared to like 1 or 2 years ago. So anyway, that's my rant to kick off this week's little podcast. How y'all doing? Hope you all doing good. It's Wednesday morning as I record this. I don't usually record in the morning. I usually record in like early evening, late afternoon. But it was on my schedule to record a podcast. And I was busy all day yesterday on Tuesday doing work. I was in front of the computer for so long, I started to get a headache. And I was thinking about it. It's like, I've been on the computer without taking a break for like 10 hours. I was just working. I was on a roll. I was looking up a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, there you go. This week, I want to start with a kind of a follow-up to my last week's episode where I answered a question, can you be naked on a cruise ship? And I felt like I beat that horse to death last week. Go listen to that episode if you would like. And And then my friend just told me, oh, someone posted that episode of my podcast onto one of the Facebook groups for one of the cruises. And I also knew that Atlantis, by the way, they just went on sale. They just posted for sale to the some alumni and those that were previously on it last year. Next year's Southern Caribbean cruise is going to be on a Virgin ship. So right now it's on a pre-sale. So the way Atlantis does their sales is everyone that was on the equivalent cruise from the previous year, they get first dibs. Okay, so the Southern Caribbean cruise, it happens most years. It happened in 2024, and they just got the details nailed down for it to be available to be on sale for 2025. So everyone that was on that Southern Caribbean cruise for March of this year, they get first dibs to book next year's equivalent cruise, the Southern Caribbean cruise in March 2025. So that's happening right now. So all those folks got an email late last week, early this week. I wasn't on that cruise, so I didn't get that email myself, but I knew from people posting and everything that some of them have gone ahead and booked it. The itinerary has been released, but I'm not going to go into like the full detail of it. I'm going to wait till it's launched a little more widely, and then I'll do a episode of the podcast coming up soon on the new cruise that's launched. I think it'd be more appropriate for me to do an episode on it when it's available to the vast majority of people, like when it goes to like public sales. So it's a pre-sale now for people who are on that equivalent cruise this year. Then it's going to go to alumni, the people that have sailed with Atlantis on any of the cruises, not just the equivalent one. And they have like a few stages of that alumni sale. Might take like a week or two. And then it goes on to general sale where like anyone out there can go buy it. So around that time, I will do a podcast episode on that. So for those of you that are interested, you will have to subscribe and stay tuned, and I will talk about that once it goes on general sale. But anyways, so my friend told me, someone posted your thing onto my sales groups, and I should look at the comments on my YouTube channel. But since my friend sent this link, I just went and clicked on it, and there's only like one or two comments on it. But someone said, and rightly so, people should just worry about themselves and not what other people are wearing and or showing. And then someone agreed. So I want to comment on that. Quick. So if you have made up your mind on your opinion on that, that's fine. And I'm not disagreeing with that necessarily. But what I want to do is give some context for why I gave the recommendation and guidelines that I gave last week. Okay. So, and one of the reasons that I personally think is not good to basically go full frontal on a cruise that is not a clothing optional cruise. Other passengers on a gay cruise, I mean, like I said, gay's trash. The other gays on the cruise probably don't mind it that much, by and large. Okay. However, because I have worked with Atlantis, volunteered for them on the cruises, I've been on so many of these before. And by volunteering with Team Atlantis, I've also seen how the crew from like the cruise line side of things work and kind of a little bit of what their sentiment is. So I always think that if it's not a clothing optional thing on the cruise, that means people in general that are on the cruise ship, including the crew, don't want to see full frontal, right? So that's kind of sort of something I didn't get into last week. Generally, it's frowned upon, if not against the rules. But I think if it's not a clothing optional cruise, I think my context, the one thing I want to add there is just be mindful of, what you're showing and as well as how you're behaving in the context of, the hundreds, if not thousands of people that actually live on the cruise ship. They're the people that are with the cruise line, with Royal Caribbean, with Virgin Voyages, with Celebrity Cruises, whoever cruise line it is of the ship you're on. They didn't sign up for a clothing optional cruise where everyone just has like their candy store out there. And some of them, it could be like offensive to them personally for they didn't sign up for to work a clothing optional cruise, but then people just blatantly be like, I'm going to show whatever I want, and it's just fully naked out there, right? That's where I'm coming from. If it was a clothing optional cruise, then the crew would have been warned, and I'm sure the cruise lines and whoever's chartered the cruises would have made preparations for that, right? So that's where I'm kind of coming from. I have a lot of respect and admiration for the people who like work on the cruise lines, especially when they get a slightly rowdy bunch of cruisers, like the Atlantis party cruises, for example. So I'm not saying everyone isn't entitled to their opinion. I'm on this mic every week spewing my opinions. That's fine. If your opinion is you should be able to show whatever you want on a cruise ship, that's your opinion. However, what I'm saying is, if it's not a clothing optional, like if they were okay with you showing dick and balls on a cruise, they probably would have just said it because that would have been like a selling point. But, just be careful if you are thinking about going full frontal on a cruise ship and it's not stated that it's a clothing optional thing. You might be going against like actual rules that the charter company as well as the cruise line actually has for that cruise ship. It's not a place that just as a gay cruise, you can just do whatever you want. It's not quite like that, okay? So I think most people can understand that, hey, it's not the Atlantis ones, for example. They're not clothing optional cruises. However, when you're on a gay cruise, it does feel very liberating in a lot of ways. However, just know that there might be limits to things that you do, okay? I've seen some things that happen on the gay cruises that the crew definitely would not want to know about. A lot of the crew, if they see these things, they just look the other way. And that's fine. If I personally don't want to see something and I happen to be there, I tend to look away. But, the crew generally the crew do not want to see you full frontal naked when it's not a clothing optional cruise. So it might be like a rule that they have that, you're not supposed to be fully naked just out in the open. So having said that, if you do want to be fully naked on one of these cruises, like I said, there were exceptions to the rule. And there's one exception that I forgot about that exists in some of the cruises. So I mentioned, obviously, within the privacy of any stateroom, that's like a private space, go wild, do whatever you want, okay? And there's usually a dick deck on a lot of the Atlantis cruises. It's not official. It's not an official part of the Atlantis offerings. And there have been some cruises before where there was not a dick deck. And I've heard some people, a minority, but some people where they got upset that they went on one of these cruises where there was not a dick deck because for some people, that was a big reason why they went. But it's not an official Atlantis offering. So it's not like the most reliable that there is one. It is actually up to, if it's just up to Atlantis, there'd probably be a dick deck on every cruise, okay? However, everything that happens on the cruise ship ultimately goes back to the crew that's operating that ship, the company that's operating the ship, the cruise line, and also the captain of that ship. If the captain doesn't want something happening on that ship, there's no arguing. It's the same as on an airplane. The captain has the ultimate power to say yay or nay to any activity on the ship. If the captain doesn't like it, there's no arguing. It's just not going to happen. So once in a great while, not usually, but sometimes it does happen that because of some of these variables, there's not a dick deck. But the dick deck when it is happening, it's like it's like a designated area. Like the crew knows that, hey, there's freaky stuff going on there. So like the crew is warned about it. They're not like, it's not like a crew is just walking down the corridors, the hallways of the staterooms, and then suddenly seeing guys getting it on fully naked. It's not like that, okay? They're warned about the dick deck. And a third area that I forgot to mention last week, where on many of the Atlantis cruises I've been on, but again, not all of them, it's not guaranteed, where you can be fully naked, is a naked sunbathing area for sunbathing, not to get freaky, okay? So again, depends on the ship and depends on like a few of these variables, but times where I've been on Atlantis cruises, they usually do have it. And basically where it is and what it is you have the regular pool deck, and that's where most people are sunbathing and lounging outside, okay? But usually there is a smaller deck that's like one level up from the pool deck on most cruise ships, depending on how they're laid out. So that's where it usually is. If there's something that's one level higher than the pool deck where the pool is, and it's usually at like the front or the back of the ship. So it's like slightly more secluded. It's not like where everyone is. And it's kind of like a smaller area where you can lay out like a whole bunch of chairs. Usually that area tends to be for naked sunbathing. Again, not to partake in any sexual activities. This is like broad daylight, but it's for naked sunbathing. So that's where you can be naked as well. So I think, on balance, if you do want to be fully naked and you want to show whatever you want, whenever you want, regardless of where you are on the ship and what time it is, go for a clothing optional cruise. But all the Atlantis ones I've been on, all the Atlantis cruises I've known of are not clothing optional. So you do need to cover up at least the bare minimum of your frontal parts, in most circumstances when you're like out and about, okay? But yeah, dick deck is fine. Any like stateroom cabin is fine. Obviously, that's a private space. And then, yeah, and there's usually a naked sunbathing area on a lot of the ships as well. And it's usually either at the front or back, and it's usually like one level, maybe two levels up from where the pool deck is. Depends on the layout of the ship, where they can find a space that's like a little secluded, but where they can still put out a whole bunch of chairs for people to lounge on, where, it still gets like sun. So there you go. Just wanted to slip that extra bit in there. Yeah, it's I didn't think it'd be a touchy subject, and like I totally respect this person's comment. Like, oh, I want to like that's great. Like I'm all for that, but on some ships, there are still rules that you need to adhere to. Just don't assume that because it's a gay cruise, you can just show dick and balls and have it swinging out whenever you want, wherever you want. It just doesn't work like that. All right, moving on. It looks like I do a cruise topic and I do like a non-cruise topic. I don't know if you guys like this split, but I just like to mix it up a little bit. The non-cruise topic I would like to talk about this week. I'm a content creator, and one of the things I like to do is send out surveys to like people who follow me on my Twitter or on other things, people who subscribe to me and pay me money every month for like some sort of benefit or some sort of content. So I survey these people because it's a business. I'm offering a product, you're consuming it, you're the consumer, and you're paying money for it. You're paying customer of me, and I'm providing the product or service, right? So I always want to know what people are thinking because, we need to know what the customers are doing, right? Like, is the product good? Is the product bad? What about this thing we're trying? Are people liking it? Are people not liking it? You can get statistics and analytics, but sometimes you can't get everything you need via numbers, right? There's, sometimes people's sentiment is very important. Sometimes what people are not doing is as important as what they are doing. So, for example, I ran a bunch of surveys lately, and people gave me feedback on their price. It was like especially asked them about like, hey, what do you think about this product? This is what you're getting for like this price point, or would you rather have this product at this price or this slightly different variant at this other price, right? But I'm very much for like, you know what? If you ask people, people will tell you. So, um, and I'll get the answers like all over the board. Like no matter what you think someone thinks, when you have like hundreds of thousands of people out there that you're getting feedback from, sometimes it's very illuminating the trends that you get, and even sometimes when people take the extra effort and time to give you free form feedback, that's actually really, really awesome. I make my surveys very multiple choice, so it's like very low effort and it's less of like a perceived burden to fill out the survey. But I do leave optional like little comment boxes besides the multiple choice that people can fill in additional things. Yeah, and it's everywhere. But one thing I just wanted to point out is before I became a content creator, before I made it a business, let's put it that way. I've been doing the YouTube videos for many, many years now. My friend just pointed out to me, oh, you're up to like episode 50 something of this podcast. And I put out an episode every week. That means I've been doing it for like a year. This podcast, I've said it before, I do it purely for fun, but I talk so goddamn much and I got opinions on things. And I just thought it'd be fun to do a podcast. This makes no money. 3 of you watch it. Great. Enjoyed the 3 of you. I love you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. And I just do for fun to like talk about what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling that week, or things that I'm into right now, or like the cruise advice. I love talking about the cruises, things like that. And the YouTube videos that I've been doing, I do it as a hobby, and I've said that before too. It's a bit of a specialized hobby. And it's definitely evolved the type of videos I've made. And like the videos that I started making when I first started YouTube, that would have been 2012. End of 2012 is when I first started my YouTube channel, start putting videos out. Very, very different from the most recent stuff that I put out, which was like in 23. I think last year was the last time I uploaded a video. I haven't done any this year, I'm pretty sure. But I haven't been doing consistently because I just do it as a hobby. But when you actually create content for some sort of a business or business-like objective, right? More than a hobby, like, and a lot of it could be because you want to make money, but you could also be doing it because you want to get deals with brands and companies, right? Not like to monetize it directly that way, or to get more subscribers or to get more followers or whatever, right? If you have like a specific type of a goal beyond just like, oh, you're posting for fun, right? That's where consistency is so important. And within the creator community, there's a lot of debate, and it's like a bit of a topic about, as a creator, can you take a break? And I just heard a few like OnlyFans creators give their opinions about this. And some people are very on the of the opinion that, if you plan things out properly, you never need to take a break from posting content, in the sense that you can always have content going up regularly, even if you are actually behind the scenes, behind the camera, behind the phone, taking a break for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever, right? And then there are other people that they just literally take a break when they want to take a break. They don't plan for it in advance so much, like this other person said. And when they take a break, their posting just stop out of nowhere. So, someone stops posting for like a week or 2 weeks or a month or however. Yeah. And I just want to, on top of that, highlight how much effort it actually goes into being a content creator, like for reals. Like there are people that can do it more naturally, just like anything else. Some people, certain things, activities, talents, whatever, just come more easily to certain people, okay? But even for the people who find a lot of enjoyment in it, and people that have like some sort of natural talent for it, where it comes quite easily to them, to be able to put out content that's like consistent quality and do it consistently, because once you put something out like every day or every week, people start expecting it, even if you never explicitly promised anything. A lot of like the tech YouTubers I follow, like I get, they enjoy it and stuff, but like, it takes so much work to do it at like a high quality and to do it consistently over the long term. Those are like the three key things that starts to like produce like burnout eventually if you don't manage it properly, right? Doing things that's like really high quality, doing it consistently, like regularly, like if you're posting every day or like every week or something like that, but then do it sustainably for like the longer term, like many months, probably over the course of like years, probably for those who have been in it for a while. I just want to highlight, it's actually quite difficult, and it's like something that even not like even me, but I'm not trying to say I'm so good or such a awesome content creator or whatever. I'm not. There's a schedule on my OnlyFans that I post according to, and that's like what I set the expectation for, and that's why I adhere to. And if I need to be not making content for like, if I can't make content or for like a couple weeks or 3 weeks, assuming I can foresee it, I will make all the content in advance. It's like when you have a 9-to-5 office job and you're going to have like a 2-week vacation coming up in like 3 months or something like that. So in the lead up to your 3-month vacation, you're going to get all your ducks in a row at work so that you don't have to be paged or bothered while you're on your 2-week vacation. You might not even be reachable, okay? Maybe you're going to go hike whatever mountain, okay? And there's no cell reception up there, and you're sure as hell not bring your laptop with you. So that's how content creators can be doing it as well. That's what I do. If I need to be offline for 2 weeks, that's not a problem. I will make all the content I need to make to cover those 2 weeks, and probably like the week that I'm back, and queue up everything in advance. Like everything's just going to auto release by itself. I'm still posting things. So from the consumer's point of view, I'm not really taking a break because there's still new content that's going up, brand new stuff for them. Posts are still going up, but I can be just chilling and be very minimal. Just check on my phone once in a while that, hey, this thing that I pre-uploaded to post, did it go up properly? Yes. Okay, great. Because sometimes when you queue stuff in advance, like you pre-schedule something, once in a great while, it fails to like post or whatever, I have a backup for that. But at least like by and large, I can actually just take my 2 weeks break, right? But yeah, it's actually a lot of work. And I think a lot of people are surprised by how much effort it goes into creating content, because all you're seeing is the end product that looks so effortless. Like every nice photo I've ever seen on Instagram looks like someone just woke up and just took it. But now that I'm more into like the content creation game, I can appreciate that photo could have taken them an hour to make. Like, and all they were doing for that 1 hour was like, like doing everything possible to like, okay, get the camera set up. We need to set up like the lights. Okay, we need to like put on some makeup for this that maybe they wouldn't usually put on makeup, but like, hey, it's going on a photo that'll be immortalized on the internet forever. They need to like spruce themselves up a little bit, try out some different outfits. Even doing the camera and like the lighting, that could take like 30 minutes. Like scouting out a spot to take like a good photo. Lighting's really important. Easily, you can spend an hour taking a photo. I've spent an hour taking Instagram photos, and I didn't even take that many Instagram photos. Yeah, so I do want to do more stuff, post more regularly and do more content for like Instagram. TikTok is something that is not really like the typical TikTok videos, the type of videos that people do. Very impressive looking, takes a lot of work, but I just don't want to make those types of like TikTok videos. But I do want to market myself more as part of the business, to be honest, on Instagram and on TikTok. So yeah, I'm trying to create a strategy for that. My previous attempts haven't been super successful. I haven't been able to like keep it up, basically. But yeah, like if there are content creators that are putting out quality content, number one. Number two, they're doing it regularly, like you're getting posts every week, probably multiple posts every week, especially if they're doing it on multiple platforms. There's so many platforms out there, like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. There's OnlyFans, and people are doing that. There's what's the other pay one? Patreon. people are doing podcasts, they're doing videos, they're doing photos. Like, it is so much, okay? So if you know any creators out there that are doing high quality content, posting it regularly, especially doing it across multiple channels, and they've been able to do it in a long-term sustained fashion, please do something to support them. Like, tip them $5. Like, this creator that's been posting content for you for like a whole year on Instagram, tip them $5. Yeah, like, give the bitch $1, you know? In some ways, it's a little weird for me. Like, I have a biased view because I'm on like this side of the creator fence. A lot of people don't have a lot of disposable income. I totally get it. But the way I break it down is like, you know, if you don't have a problem buying like, you know, like a $30 bowl of pho, okay, to like to tip your Uber driver. Okay, this tipping culture thing. I'm not saying you need to tip everyone. Okay, I went into this in a previous whatever before. Like, the people in the service industry, yes, I do think they deserve a tip. For someone who's just ringing my groceries, do I tip them? No, but like, that's a whole other can of worms I'm not going to go into. I already ran into once in a previous episode podcast. But all I'm suggesting is, I'm not saying you have to tip. I'm not saying that. But again, if there's a content creator, you really love their content, they're putting out high quality stuff on multiple platforms, they're posting every single week, multiple times a week, and they've been doing it for so long, you've been following for so long, like, you know, like once in a while, just like, tip them $5 for the price of like a latte. Just give them $5 because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and oftentimes it takes a little bit of money, you know, to make some of that quality content. You don't have to subscribe to them for like $30 a month every single month. Okay, not everyone has that kind of disposable income, but like, you know, this person that's giving you free content every single week of a high quality that you've been following for however many months or years, like, you know, show them a little love, help support them because they are taking their time and effort to, you know, like, create this content. And some of them might be like uber rich, like the super famous YouTubers that are out there. Okay, maybe they don't need your $5, but especially the ones that haven't made it big, you know, the ones that are not rolling around in like a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or whatever, the ones that don't have like the $20 million house, the ones that are not like super, super rich that may or may not need your $5. That's subjective. I'm not saying you should think one way or the other, you know, but especially like the smaller creators, if you follow any of them. And yeah, you know, $5 might not sound like very much. You don't have to tip them every month. Just tip them once, you know, just a one-time $5 thing. And they're going to be, I swear to you, especially like the smaller independent indie creators, people like me, they would be so thankful for, like, you have no idea how thankful I would be for like a $5 tip. Like anytime someone tips or like, yeah, like because they're tipping me just out of the goodness of their hearts. They're not buying something for me. They're giving me money and not expecting a product or service back in return. That's what a tip is. It's like a optional, like, it's not a compulsory thing. Usually when people give me money, like, I'm giving them content, I'm giving them a product, they're buying something. But when people tip, I'm so thankful because it's out of the goodness of their hearts. It shows me that they support what I do, that, you know, they appreciate what I do. Like, obviously, I love it when people buy my stuff and like, hey, I get it. If you spend money, you usually want to get something in return. And yeah, like, there are people that subscribe to me, they buy my stuff. That's great. I'm very thankful for that. But like the more rare occasions where I get like a tip, like even like $5, which is not like that much, but like, I'm so thankful for that. So I just want to plug it for all the creators out there, especially like the smaller independent indie creators that you might be following. Yeah, just think about if they accept tips, that is, and a lot of them, they do accept tips on like a Twitter or whatever, or just to be like, yeah, just give the bitch $1, give the bitch $5, you know, support your creators. They're doing their hard work out there. Yeah, that's my, that was what's on my mind for like the little bit looking at some of these like survey responses. It's like, yeah, so some of these creators, and having worked with other creators now, it's like, yeah, some of these creators like work really hard. Probably a lot of them work harder than me, honestly. All right, that wrap for another episode of the podcast. Reminder, the video version of this podcast is available on Spotify and also my YouTube channel, Just Joey T. If there's anything you wanted me to talk about, any questions you have, any feedback, comment on any episode of this podcast on my YouTube channel. But until next time, bye.